Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the new Triochrome palette from Natasha Denona. This beautiful palette right here. This is Natasha Denona's latest palette. By the end of this video, I want you guys to kind of have an idea of whether or not this is a palette worth getting. Before we get into it, if you guys liked the video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up before you leave. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe. My name is Patty and I would love to have you over here. We are going to be doing 3 looks with this palette because I really wanted to try it and form an opinion on whether or not I think this is a palette that I see myself reaching for and whether or not I think it's worth it. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's begin discussing this color story. This palette has a really unique row of green shades right here at the top. Something unlike anything I had ever seen before, at least in a very popular palette. And then it's got a row of purples and a row of warm tones. I think it's got a good balance between wearable colors and pops of color. And Natasha Denona made this one of her bigger palettes. So this palette retails for $129. It's called the Triochrome palette and it has 3 duochrome shades down the center. We are about to get into swatches, but before, let me tell you guys what I think about the pricing. I thought we had a good thing going with Natasha Denona. I thought we had come to an understanding that we all love the $65 palettes because realistically, like, not a lot of us get through palettes. So if you get half of a palette size for half the price, it's an amazing deal. So the moment I saw that this palette was going to be retailing for $129, I was immediately just like hurt by that, you know? Like, why? We had a good thing going. Why do you have to go back to the bigger palettes? Then I thought, well, it's called the Triochrome palette. This is me, like, without actually reading or doing any investigative work, okay? Me being ignorant, I said it's called the Triochrome palette. It's going to have 3 multi-chrome shades, you know, like that multi-chrome shade in the Pat McGrath palette that shifts purple, green, and pink. And it turns out that they're not multi-chrome shades, they are dual-chrome shades, which, nothing against dual-chrome shades, but I was a little disappointed because I was already expecting more. Here's the first one, and this one is called Scarab. So as you can see, it's kind of like a shift between a gold and a green shade. Green here, gold here. Really beautiful shade. But 2 shifts, not 3. Then we have this purpley shade right here, which I don't think it shows much on camera, but it's kind of a shift between like a rose gold and a purple. The camera is not really capturing it that much, but in person, I feel like I see some pink and then of course a whole lot of purple. The second color, by the way, was called Kinetic, and then we have the third color at the bottom there, and that one is called Color Flip. And that one at the bottom has a shift between green and purple, I would say, but again, I don't feel like the camera, oh, you can see the green there, there you go, see green, and then it has that pinky purple shade, and then green there. I was like, the camera is not capturing this, but those are the 3 dual chrome shades in the center of the palette. They are really beautiful shades. They're not crumbly, very smooth. They go on very nicely with your finger or with a brush, either way you want to use it. But I was honestly so excited to have multi-chrome shades that when I saw that they only had 2 shifts, I was like, oh, okay. It's called the Triochrome because it's 3 duochromes, not because it's multi-chromes. I don't know, the words just kind of threw me off. Now next, let me go ahead and show you swatches of the matte shades from the palette, starting with the first row. These right here are the swatches. So starting with this color right here, it's called Scrap. Then we have Androdite. This one here is the color Ion, and this one here is the color Vert. I will say Natasha did some pastel shades in this palette, and this is what pastels should look like and be like. They are very pigmented, very blendable, really nice pastel shades. They build up very nicely, they're not too powdery. Okay, so here are the matte shades from the second row. Starting with the color Naga right here at the bottom, another beautiful pastel shade. The darker color right over here is called Manganese. Then we have Redux, which is a more cool toned light purple, and lastly we have tungsten, which is a little bit more of a mauve type of purple. And this shimmer in the center right here is the one that goes on that row. Finally, here's the last row. The first color at the bottom is called Vertex. Then we have Plutonium right here, which is a beautiful yellow shade. Then we have the color Garment right here, which I love a shade like that. And lastly, we have the color Diatonic, which is a beautiful orangey pastel color. As you can see, all of the swatches are super smooth, super buttery, and I have been playing with this palette for a few days now. The look I'm wearing is like the fourth look I do with it because one of them I hated and ended up taking off. But I have been playing with all of the shades in this palette for quite a few days. I tested the longevity of them, which they lasted fantastic. I have to say, every time I wore these eyeshadows, I wore them over the Mario Prep and Prime little eyeshadow primer palette, which I've been really liking this, by the way. And the eyeshadows have been wearing for very long periods of time. They've been lasting really nicely. So before I go into my final thoughts and whether or not this is a palette that I see myself using or that is worth getting, let's go ahead and get into the 3 looks. To get started with the first look, I'm going to use the color Vertex, and I'm going to use it as my crease color. This one is pretty much the color of my skin, just a little bit more grayish, so it'll give it a bit of dimension, but you won't see a huge change. Tapping it on the outer corner and building it on the crease. And then with windshield wiper motions, just spread it out nicely. Then with the color Diatonic, I think it's called. It's like the nice peachy color on the right corner. And also my number 15 brush, we're going to give that crease a bit more dimension. So I'm going to just build it on top. And just with windshield wiper motions, I'm just going to blend it around that crease. And I'm putting it quite high underneath my eyebrow because I wanted to show up around the next color I'm putting on. Next, with my number 14 brush from REPHR and the color Manganese, I'm going to start building the outer corner of the eye. So I'm first just tapping this color right there on the outer corner. And then with the tip of the brush, I'm going to start building it into the crease shade. Just back and forth, back and forth. Same thing with the inner corner color. I'm just going to start building it with the number 14 brush from REPHR. It's just a nice small blending brush. Now I'm going around the eye and just making the colors meet right here on top. Back with my number 15 brush and that peachy shade we used at first. I'm just going around the purple and making sure it diffuses nicely. Next, I have the color Color Flip on my number 2 brush from REPHR, and I'm going to start patting it right in the center of the eyelid. And I'm just patting this color. Same brush in the color Scarab, and I'm going to just build it over top for some extra dimension, a little extra shift to the color. And I'm putting it all over that purple shade. Okay, so this is how things are looking so far. I'm going to do my face makeup and I'll be right back to finish this one up. For the under eye, with my REPHR number 3 brush and the color Manganese, I'm going to just smoke out my lower lash line. And then with my purple eyeliner from Fenty, I'm going to fill in my waterline, and I'm going to blend it into that purple color underneath my eyes with the same REPHR number 3 brush. And lastly, with the color Diatonic and my REPHR number 13 brush, I'm going to smoke out my lower lash line. I'm going to use this highlighter from my Dior Quad, and that's going to be my inner corner highlighter. So right here in the center, and then I like to blend it upwards a little bit. Alright, so this is what things are looking like before mascara. Let me put on some mascara and show you the final look. I'm back with mascara on, and this right here is the final look number 1. I really loved combining the colors in the center of my eye, the purple with a little bit of green on top. I like that it adds a pop that's not like, you know, purple and green. It just kind of has a green shift. I can't wait to continue to play with this palette. I'm not going to do lashes, just mascara for this look. So this right here is the first one, and now let's do look number 2. So I wasn't recording, but I am in the middle of filming look number 2. I've done 2 steps, so let me explain. I'm so sorry. I have my REPHR number 15 brush right here, and I first grabbed the color Androdite, I think it's what it's called, and I stamped it up here, boom, 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 all around the crease. I first blended it, but it wasn't showing up, so I stamped it on. And then I blended around the edges with that shade, and it was like a very pastel light green shade. So then with the same brush, I grabbed the color Vert and I started stamping it right here on the outer corner of my eye first. So I stamped, and then I started stamping upward so that it blended into that crease shade. And then I did little circles around this upper edge of Vert so that it would fully blend into the first color I put on. And I went all the way in with it. And this is where we are right now. So I apologize, I was not filming. I did not realize it is the morning time. I'm sleepy. Ugh. Here we are. Next, with my REPHR number 1 brush, I grabbed the color Scrap, and I'm going to pat it on this outer corner as well to intensify the look a little more. And I'm just patting it on the outer corner and putting it kind of like on the outer V of my eyelid. As you can see, I'm doing like a little curved upward movement per se, and now I'm going to blend it into the color Vert by doing little circles around any edges I might have created. Little circular sweeping motions will do the trick. These shades are blending out so nicely. Natasha can make any color look good in her formulas. Like, what? She even made good pastels. Hura. This is how you should make pastels. Alright. So we have that going for us right there. Next, I have the color Scarab on my number 2 brush from REPHR. And I'm going to start placing it on my eyelid. Little sweeping motions back and forth and all the way in. All over the rest of the eyelid there. I'm adding some more. I want it to be nice and saturated with that color Scarab. A little bit more scrap right here on this outer corner. And I'm going to go around my eyelid with whatever remains on my number 1 brush. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at this for now. Think about what I want to do to the bottom of this eye and do my face makeup in the meantime. Back with some makeup around my eye, and I want to add a little purple to this look. Don't ask me why, I just do. So I have the color Manganese right here on my number 14 brush, and I'm going to pat it right on the outer corner towards the center of the eyelid. I'm also going to do it on the outer corner of my lower lash line. I have the color Vert on my number 13 brush from REPHR, and I'm going to blend it underneath my eye and smoke out any purple I might have placed there. Alright, I have a little bit more Manganese on my number 3 brush from REPHR, and I'm just intensifying what I did on the outer corners of my eye. Going back with my beauty blender, just making sure things look clean out here. And I went ahead and added the color Perpetrator to my waterline from Fenty. Let me do some mascara and show you the final look. I'm back with some mascara on. Everything I've been using throughout the video is linked down below. And this right here is the second look with this Natasha Denona palette. This is a lot more green that I'm comfortable with. Honestly, like it looks pretty, but it's green. It's like really green. I think I have to like wear it for longer or get used to it or something. A lot of you guys are more adventurous than me with eyeshadows, so I'm sure that you're going to like it. I like it, but I'm like, whoa, green. Anyways, this right here is the second look, and let's move on to the third and final one in this video. First things first, for the third look, I'm going to take the color Naga and I'm going to put it on the crease of my eye. I'm going to use this color as my transition shade. I'm using my REPHR number 15 brush, and I'm just back and forth doing windshield wiper motions with it. Going back with a little bit more, I'm tapping the color in a little bit so that it builds up a little bit more of the pigment. And now once again, I'm doing the little back and forth motions to blend out the upper edge. Next, with the same brush and the color Tungsten, I'm going to start on the outer corner of the eye and build the color into the crease ever so slightly. So again, just kind of stamp it on the outer corner and start bringing it in. And with back and forth motions, I'm blending it into the crease shade. Okay, so now that it looks like this, the third step is to grab the color Manganese on my REPHR number 1 brush, and we're going to darken up that outer corner even more. So outer corner, and blend it into the crease ever so slightly. And now with the number 2 brush and the color Kinetic, I'm going to fill in the rest of the eyelid. I went back a second time to just add a little bit more pigment. And I'm using a little bit more manganese on my number 1 brush to go around the edges. Just back and forth with very, very light pressure. Lastly, back with the big number 15 brush. Just make sure everything looks nice and blended up here. So this is what I have for the top of the last look. Let me be right back with some makeup on and we'll finish it up. Actually, a little bit of a last minute decision. I grabbed the color flip on my number 2 brush and I'm adding it right here in the center of the eyelid and blending it back. Just like that. I feel like that doesn't look like it changed much on camera, but in my mind it did, okay? Now let me do my face makeup. To get started with the under eye, I'm going to put the color Scarab right here on the first third underneath my lashes. And I'm using the REPHR number 3 brush. Once the color is placed there, I'm going to use the color Kinetic to do the other 2/3 of the under eye with that same brush. Then with a little mixture of tungsten and Naga, I'm going to just smoke that down underneath the eye. And I'm using my REPHR number 13 brush, which is perfect to blend things out underneath your eyes. Lastly, I'm going to retouch Scarab a little bit. I'm going to grab Gold Pearl from my Dior highlighter here. And I'm applying it with my number 2 brush from REPHR. This is my inner corner highlighter shade. And I'm going to line my waterline with Perpetrator from Fenty. Okay, so this is the finished look before mascara. Let me be right back with some mascara on. Back with my mascara on, this is the final look number 3. This is the one you saw me wearing in the intro part of this video. And honestly, I really love purple, so I have to like this look. Let me know in the comment section 1 through 3 which one was your favorite look. I really hope that you guys liked all 3 looks. I had fun creating them. The green look was a little bit out there for me. That day, which I think was actually yesterday, now that I think about it, I had to work after I filmed it and I took it off and did something completely different for work because I just could not see myself with that neon green shadow at work. Plus I work for Charlotte Tilbury, so we don't have any colors like that. Anyways, let's get into what I think about this palette here. Packaging, I love that she did a dual chrome packaging for her dual chrome shades in the palette. It's purple and it's green and it's really beautiful. Nice sturdy Natasha Denona packaging. The formulas are amazing. You get her larger pans, so you're getting a lot of eyeshadow in here, and it is a palette like I haven't seen before. It is a nice innovative palette. The colors are fun. I feel like these are colors that would be really nice to incorporate into other more neutral looks to just spice them up a little bit, or just use the dual chrome shades with more neutral colors as well. Do I see myself reaching for this palette just on its own to create the types of looks that I created for this video? I honestly don't. I feel like these are not the type of looks that I like to wear on a daily basis. I'm a little bit more neutral with a pop of color rather than colorful, if you can say. And I feel like for the most part this palette is pretty colorful, even if it's not neon shades. I don't love these 2 colors right here. These are just not my favorite type of greens. It looks a little bit like toxic sign, toxic green to me. I don't love those 2 colors right there. But besides those 2 colors right there, all of the rest of the colors are pretty muted. So I do see myself using it. I see myself coming to this palette for a specific shade, maybe a specific dual chrome, a specific yellow shade, a specific little khaki green. But it's just not a palette that I see just using on its own, if that makes sense. I feel like I just repeated myself, but that's just the point that I'm trying to get across. Now, do I think it's worth it? I would totally think it was worth it if this was half the size for the $65. She's done it before. She can continue on giving us those amazing prices for her amazing quality eyeshadow. So I feel like I'm just stuck to the idea that if this palette was one of the mini palettes for the $65, this would totally be a palette that I would be just jumping up and down for. But because it is her more expensive palette and it's not colors that I see myself using on a daily basis, I don't think this is a palette that I would be picking up if I didn't have my YouTube channel and wanted to review it for you guys. So I'm glad I have it because I can make this content for you, but this is just not a palette that I would see myself getting otherwise, you know? If you're into these colors and you don't like the neutral palettes, you find them boring. I feel like a lot of you, whenever I talk about the bronze palette or the glam palette, say that those are boring because they have the same old shades, then this is the palette for you. This is the palette with the adventurous colors. I'm just not as adventurous as you are. So obviously whether or not this is a palette worth getting is up to each one of you, because you're the ones who know your taste in eyeshadow. The formula itself is the amazing Natasha Denona formula. There is no dots in this palette. It's beautiful. I just feel like I'm a little bit more conservative with my colors. Like, I did all three of these looks and every time I was like, ooh, I went a little too far with the combination of colors. Like, I just don't see myself combining green and purple on a daily basis. But again, using more neutral palettes or coming to this one for a little bit of an extra pop, yes, I would do that. Alright, I think that is all I have to say. Let me know down in the comment section if you're getting this palette, if you think it's worth it, if this type of color story is your jam, or if you're like me, just a little bit more boring and you don't think that you're going to go for this one. I know that the price of this one is definitely a huge deciding factor for me. I really wish she would have kept on doing the $65 ones. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you guys like this video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to use my links down below if you have any last minute purchases that you need to do from Sephora, because tomorrow, which might be the day that you're watching this video, which is November 9th, is the last day of the Sephora sale. So after that, all prices go back to normal. Everything I'm wearing on my face, by the way, I have linked down below. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye!